Hey, what's up? It is Kimberly Janelle, your favorite tax nerd, tax strategist, CEO of the Entrepreneurs Business Club. I am here with a tax strategy, tax deduction. Um, this is one I enjoy talking about, startup costs. Okay, I talk to so many people who say, "Well, um, I did start my business. We'll just use 2020, okay? Because we're in the 2020 tax season, so we'll just use 2020 as an example. Not sure when you'll see this, but that's when this is taking place, okay? I've talked to so many people, and they say, "Well, yeah, I spent some money in 2020 to get my business paid for licensing, paid for LLC, paid for all these things," and they'll say, "But I didn't really do anything with it, so I don't want to count it." What? 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 Okay, let me tell you about startup costs. You can claim up to $5,000 in startup costs in the first year that the business started. Okay? Startup costs are the costs that you incur the day before. So think about a restaurant. Okay? They have to buy tables and chairs. They have to get menus printed. They have to get supplies in the kitchen, like all of that stuff. Everything. They got to get machines and cash registers and TVs on the wall and okay, they got to get all of that. And then the day that they have their grand opening, startup cost is no longer a thing because the business is blah blah blah. Startup costs are no longer a thing because the business is now in operations. Okay? The business has to start somewhere. What I love to say to people is, if you don't include your startup costs, if you just kind of dismiss them or throw them away because you didn't do anything with the business that year, or you didn't do much, or whatever your reasoning is, then it makes it look like to the IRS that this business just came from nowhere. So if I started a business in 2020 with the goal to launch my business on January 1st, and on my 2020 tax return, I don't claim anything that I've done, none of the money that I spent in 2020 on my 2020 tax return, but I show up in 2021 with this business that made, let's say it was a great year. Let's say I made $60,000. Let's say I made $100,000. And there's no startup costs. Startup costs. I cannot talk. And there's no startup costs. This business just arrived. It just came from the middle of nowhere, right? Don't do that. Okay? $5,000, up to $5,000 in startup costs. Now, if you spent more than $5,000, then there is a way that you can amortize beyond $5,000 over, 15 years or something like that. Nothing for you to worry about right now. But the point is that do not discount your startup costs. Don't throw them away. Okay? You also can only claim startup costs in the year that the money was spent, not the year that the business started. I hear a lot of people say that too. Well, I'm going to get everything set up in 2020, and then we're going to roll out in 2021. I ain't going to count none of that in 2020 until 2021. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. You have to claim the startup costs in the year that you spent the money, not in the year that the business officially started for business, unless it's the same year. You have the startup costs in January, February, March, and then you open for business in April, then of course you can claim it in the same year. But you can only claim the startup cost in the year that you spent the money. Okay? So don't throw that away. Don't throw that away. What I will tell you that as far as audit purposes are concerned, IRS auditors look for when the business is in business, okay? And and which startup costs are or are not part of the startup. One of the ways that you can kind of get around that, of course, it depends on what your business is, right? One of the ways that you can kind of get around that is if you start your business in your home. If you have the ability to start your business in your home, then you can get into the business and start the business a whole lot faster than you could if you needed a brick and mortar or whatever. Of course, that depends on the type of business that you have. But if you have $2,000 or $3,000 worth of startup costs, and then you start in your home, you have a home office, you meet clients outside of the home, then that makes sense to the IRS. Okay. Another thing that they really pay attention to, or is audit worthy, audit flag, I guess I'll say it that way, is when people have startup costs for a business that never starts. Yeah, you want to make sure you don't do that. Okay. So I hope that made sense about startup costs. If you have any questions about startup costs, if something that I said was confusing or you would like to elaborate on that, leave a comment. I would love to chat with you about it. And at the end of the day, again, I love trying to give you ways to make sure that you get your money back and keep your money legally, because it is yours and you deserve it. All right? Until next time.